They never wanted you to be strong. Strength, true, untamed strength, makes a man unpredictable, independent, and unwilling to be controlled. A man who operates at his peak, who holds his energy rather than wasting it, becomes a force that cannot be manipulated. Society thrives on weakness. It feeds you distractions, drains your energy, and conditions you to believe that indulgence is freedom, when in reality, it is enslavement. Semen retention is more than just self-control. It is a system reset, a reprogramming of the mind and body that reverses the conditioning designed to keep you complacent. When you retain, your brain chemistry shifts, your willpower strengthens, and your very presence commands respect. You begin to see through the illusion, recognizing the mechanisms that were built to keep you dependent. Retention does not just affect the body, it reconstructs the mind. Every wasted release is a withdrawal from your power, a small but steady erosion of your drive, ambition, and ability to resist control. The modern world is engineered to keep you depleted because a man without energy questions nothing, fights for nothing, and builds nothing of value. But the moment you break the cycle, everything changes. Testosterone surges, cognitive function sharpens, and your instincts begin to override societal conditioning. You no longer chase empty validation. You become the one who dictates the terms. Retention isn't just about self-discipline. It is about reclaiming your natural masculine power, the power they never wanted you to realize was yours all along. Section 1. Neurochemical subjugation. Modern society bombards the mind with endless stimuli, leading to a state where the natural reward system is overtaxed. The constant exposure to hypersexual content and the relentless pursuit of instant gratification create an environment where the brain's dopamine receptors become desensitized. This loss of sensitivity results in chronic apathy, where even normally pleasurable activities no longer provide satisfaction. The brain's natural capacity to generate excitement and motivation is diminished, leaving individuals with low ambition and weak decision-making skills. In this state, the natural drive for achievement is replaced by a passive acceptance of mediocrity, as the mind struggles to distinguish between meaningful rewards and fleeting distractions. Over time, the mind adapts to an endless loop of low-effort pleasures. Excessive sexual release reinforces a cycle where immediate gratification becomes the primary measure of satisfaction. Men caught in this pattern find that their ability to push through challenges or invest effort in long-term goals weakens significantly. The continuous reinforcement of these pleasure loops conditions the brain to expect easy rewards, making it difficult to cultivate the discipline necessary for leadership or innovation. This pattern of behavior not only stifles self-discipline, but also undermines the resilience required to overcome obstacles. As a result, the mindset shifts from one of proactive growth to one of reactive conformity, making it harder to break free from habits that limit potential. The constant cycle of sexual depletion does more than just drain energy. It fundamentally alters brain function. Frequent ejaculation, when repeated over time, disrupts the delicate balance of neurotransmitters, particularly in the prefrontal cortex. This critical area of the brain, responsible for impulse control, planning, and decision-making, suffers from the lack of sustained, meaningful stimulation. With its function impaired, impulse control decreases, and the ability to engage in thoughtful, calculated risk-taking diminishes. Men become more susceptible to external influences and less capable of resisting manipulation. The loss of long-term goal orientation leaves them vulnerable to accepting short-term rewards at the expense of greater achievements, reinforcing a pattern of docility and compliance. When the brain is conditioned by a constant flood of low-level stimulation, a state of neurochemical subjugation takes hold. This subjugation, not only reduces the natural desire to achieve, but also makes individuals more likely to settle for less than their true potential. The altered reward system discourages the pursuit of challenging goals, as the effort required seems too great compared to the immediate, shallow pleasures that have become the norm. In this state, critical thinking and innovative problem-solving give way to habitual patterns of behavior that are easily manipulated by external forces. The capacity to make thoughtful decisions and to maintain a strong drive for long-term success is significantly eroded, leaving the mind stuck in a loop of complacency. Ultimately, the hijacking of the brain's reward system creates a profound barrier to personal growth. The desensitization of dopamine receptors, coupled with the reinforcement of pleasure-driven habits, renders men less resilient and more susceptible to external control. The compromised function of the prefrontal cortex further cements this state, reducing impulse control and making it difficult to pursue meaningful, challenging goals. This neurochemical subjugation not only weakens the spirit, but also undermines the fundamental qualities necessary for leadership, self-discipline, and innovation. The price of constant indulgence is a diminished capacity to shape one's destiny, leaving individuals trapped in a cycle of low-effort existence and compromised potential. Section 2. Energetic dilution. The human body is a bioenergetic powerhouse, and semen serves as one of its most concentrated energy reserves. Every drop contains vital nutrients, trace minerals, and life-generating forces that fuel mental sharpness, creativity, and an undeniable aura of presence. Retaining this energy allows it to be redirected toward intellectual pursuits, strategic thinking, and an intensified drive for personal growth. This is why throughout history, warriors, scholars, and visionaries have practiced retention as a means of sharpening their faculties. However, in a world that benefits from a population that is passive and easily controlled, systems are in place to encourage constant depletion. The more frequently this energy is lost, the more scattered the mind becomes, making it difficult to sustain ambition, magnetism, or the ability to challenge imposed narratives. Sexual energy isn't just biological. It has an electromagnetic component that affects how a person interacts with the world. When energy is conserved, the body generates a stronger bioelectric field, increasing one's presence and influence in any environment. This unseen force creates a natural aura of confidence, allowing those who harness it to command attention without the need for excessive speech or posturing. However, when this energy is continually drained, the field weakens. People who should radiate authority begin to fade into the background, their presence diminished, and their voices lost in the noise of modern distractions. The subtle but powerful impact of sexual energy depletion isn't just personal. It shifts how one is perceived in social and professional spaces, determining whether one stands out as a leader or blends into the mass of passive conformity. Masculine polarity is the force that has historically driven leadership, innovation, and rebellion against stagnation. It is the raw essence that compels men to build, protect, and challenge structures that no longer serve them. When this energy is strong, it fuels assertiveness, strategic decision-making, and an ability to navigate the world with clarity. But when it is weakened, it creates the conditions for mass compliance. Societies that promote overindulgence in fleeting pleasures ensure that the masculine spirit remains diluted, making strong leadership increasingly rare. Without the ability to sustain high levels of energy, men find themselves more prone to distraction, more willing to accept mediocrity, and less capable of resisting the forces that seek to dictate their paths. The consequences of this energetic dilution are everywhere. A man who should be a force of nature, clear in his intentions, unshaken by opposition, and relentless in his pursuits, becomes hesitant, uncertain, and overly dependent on external validation. The loss of energy not only weakens physical vitality, but also numbs the instincts that guide one's purpose. Confidence, decisiveness, and raw magnetism are all affected by this siphoning of life force. Those who retain their energy, on the other hand, begin to feel the effects almost immediately. Clarity returns, motivation surges, and an unmistakable shift in presence takes place. This is not some abstract metaphysical idea. It is a biological and energetic reality that has been understood by ancient traditions and modern science alike. The more fragmented a man's energy, the easier he is to control. Systems that thrive on dependency, whether political, corporate, or social, do not benefit from men who are fully in control of their own essence. A weakened bioenergetic field makes compliance the default setting, where questioning authority, challenging weak leadership, and forging one's own path seem like distant ambitions rather than urgent necessities. But the opposite is also true. The moment energy is preserved, a fundamental shift begins. The ability to move with certainty, to command attention without force, and to project a presence that influences outcomes becomes second nature. This is why retention is more than just an individual practice. It is an act of defiance against a world designed to keep men weak, distracted, and energetically depleted. Section 3. Psychosocial warfare. A distracted man is a controlled man. In a world engineered for overstimulation, constant indulgence in sexual gratification is one of the most effective ways to keep men reactive rather than proactive. Every active release drains not only physical energy, but also the willpower needed to pursue higher goals. A man consumed by fleeting pleasure becomes easy to manipulate, chasing dopamine hits instead of self-mastery. This erosion of individual sovereignty ensures that rather than building, leading, or innovating, men are kept in a loop of indulgence, unable to break free from the cycles designed to suppress their natural drive for dominance. What happens when men no longer chase cheap pleasure? They begin to think critically. They start to question the narratives that have shaped their reality. They recognize how industries, from entertainment to pharmaceuticals, profit from their indulgence, keeping them chemically pacified and psychologically subdued. Semen retention is dismissed or ridiculed in mainstream discussions because true self-control threatens the very foundation of these industries. A man who does not need external stimulation to feel powerful is a man who cannot be easily sold distractions, false empowerment, or artificial validation. His confidence is no longer outsourced. It is generated from within. The attack on retention is not accidental. It is strategically woven into modern culture, where restraint is mocked and indulgence is glorified. Men who seek to retain their energy and harness it for greatness are labeled extreme, rigid, or out of touch. Yet, history shows that every civilization that encouraged discipline, sexual restraint, and energy mastery produced the strongest leaders, warriors, and philosophers. The men who control their essence control their destiny. Those who waste it remain trapped in external cycles of validation, never realizing their own potential. The psychological battle is not just about individual habits, it is about global influence. When men remain weak, societies are easier to govern. They lack the aggression needed to demand change, the resilience to pursue independence, and the focus to build empires. A world where men are constantly drained is a world where men remain subservient. On the other hand, when men begin to retain their power, a radical shift occurs. Clarity replaces confusion. Purpose replaces passivity. The ability to command respect becomes effortless because the energy that was once scattered is now concentrated into a singular force of will. The greatest rebellion in modern times is not political, it is energetic. It is the silent revolution of men who refuse to be controlled, who reclaim their power through discipline, and who break free from cycles of dependency. Retention is not just about semen, it is about the reclamation of self. The decision to hold onto one's energy is the decision to step outside of the engineered system of weakness. It is the conscious rejection of psychological warfare aimed at keeping men docile, confused, and lost in pleasure. Men who practice retention don't need to seek dominance. It becomes a natural consequence of their energy. The way they move, the way they think, and the way they command attention shifts. They no longer seek validation because they have already mastered the source of their own power. Their presence alone disrupts environments built on control. They are immune to manipulation because they have trained their minds to function independently. These men do not ask for respect, they embody it. And that is what makes them the greatest threat to a world designed to keep them weak. This is why retention is far more than a personal practice. It is an act of defiance. It is a silent but undeniable revolution against a world that profits from male weakness. The men who understand this are no longer playing by the rules designed to keep them small. They are moving with purpose, building legacies, and reclaiming their rightful place as forces of nature. They do not wait for permission. They do not seek approval. They rise.